of your child should be the happiest moments of your life. Unfortunately, there are certain events that happen in your life that can deeply hurt you, especially during birth, after delivery, and when you go back home. So now, what do you do when you suspect that your child has suffered a birth injury, either due to, negligence, or your child has genetical disorder that you know that can actually affect their lives eventually? Now, this is Birth Mark. My name is Adhiambo Pondo, and this is a show that talks about birth injury, birth trauma, and genetics. What do you do when you suspect that your child has suffered a birth injury? Now, there are certain genetical disorders that may not be detected immediately after birth, but a mother can know this once they're discharged and once they're at home. For example, when a child is unable to support his neck or her neck, when a child drools a lot sometimes, and sometimes when a baby is unable to cool, and this one comes after a certain time. Now, what you need to do, after a certain time, let's say 6 weeks, mothers are usually advised to go back to the hospital for review. So they check how well a baby is. It is important for a mother to talk to a doctor or a medical practitioner and tell them, hey, look, my baby is unable, for example, to suck. For example, when I put my breast, the baby cannot suck. So that means that maybe there is a problem somewhere. You need to tell your doctor, for example, after a while, that my baby is unable to support his or her neck. That means that there's certain things, injuries that happen during birth or just before, but that can be dealt with through rehabilitation. So one of the things that is important that a caregiver does is to talk to a doctor, talk to a best dietitian, because sometimes we give certain foods to our children, especially when they get to the weaning period. When we give these certain foods, our babies react differently. For example, you're not able to tell whether your baby has autism or not at that tender age, but you will be able to tell how they behave after taking certain foods. So it would be important for your doctor to introduce you to a dietitian or someone who is a professional nutritionist. Now, one of the other things that you will realize, mothers, when they visit, most of the time when they visit the well baby clinics, they like asking questions. Hi, Mama so-and-so, is your baby walking yet? Is your baby sitting? And then they say, my baby is not sitting yet, my baby is not crawling, my baby is not crying, my baby is not responding to anything. When I make sounds, my baby is unable to respond. So at that particular moment, when you visit these hospitals, make sure you talk to your doctor. That's number one, as we said earlier. Ensure that your well baby nurse is aware of all these things. Now, what will happen is ask for a counselor, because even as a mother, we fear talking about birth injuries or birth defects, for example, that happens because we do not want to be judged in a particular way. And sometimes because we fear talking about it because of either fear or stigma, we end up missing on the very thing that can actually help manage the situation and make it a lot better. So counseling is also very important. If you cannot get a counselor, get a friend. The other third thing that you can do is to join a support group. Ask a nurse, do you know any support group, for example, that deal with autistic children? Do you know a support group that is for CP? Do you have a support group for Erb's palsy? Do you have a support for sickle cell, for example? These support groups help you as a caregiver or as a mother to know how to deal with a situation at a particular moment. Remember, some of these parents have gone through these moments earlier than you, so they kind of know how to manage the situations better than you. So this is one of the things. And ladies and gentlemen, we cannot talk about birth injuries and fail to talk about diet. Dietary needs for each child varies depending on the medical condition. So it's very, very important. And mothers, I would urge all of us not to take anything for granted. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about autism. Now, when it comes to dietary needs of autistic children, it's very, very important for us to work with someone who is working with autistic children. And mothers, sometimes we fear, again, as I said before, we fear talking about autistic children because possibly in your area, you're the only person with an autistic child. Or perhaps you don't know that what your child is suffering from is autism, or is maybe your child is autistic. But there are certain pointers that you will have to look out for. And as I said, we will be discussing this later on within the show, not today. But the pointers that we look for that will actually prompt you to know that your child is an autistic child. Now, what we need to consider in our mind, because these are general guidelines, is a balanced and nutritious meals are very, very, very crucial for our children. Now, variety of nutrients, dense foods, including fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. Now, a well-rounded diet supports overall health and provides essential nutrients for development and growth. Remember, if you know what your child is suffering from, then it becomes a lot easier. But then again, if you don't understand, it can pretty much be expensive. So we keep insisting, make your medical practitioner your best friend. Look for a dietitian. Let us not do guesswork, because certain food that we give our children may actually end up harming them. Because as we said earlier, each and every child is unique, and their need depends, or rather vary from one child to the other. They all could be autistic, but one child may not need this kind of vegetable, the other one may need. So one of the things that we need to do is talk to your doctor, because your doctor will also help you look for a support group for autistic children. Your doctor will help you look for a dietitian or a nutritionist who works with autistic children and understands. Some of the foods that are also essential are omega-3 fatty acids. We know fatty fish, and I know this is a delicacy that most of us maybe may not like, but it's very, very good for your child. Now we need things like, because omega-3 helps in brain development, as we know. We have probiotics, fermented food, things like yogurt, which helps. In the gut, we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. So sometimes that's what you're told when you're sick and you take antibiotics. You're given what we call a probiotic, because there's a probiotic that helps in giving you or enhancing an environment that is good for good bacteria that enables one to digest food properly, so that inflammations are not there in the gut, because they say our health starts from the gut. So yogurts are very good. However, having said that, there are people who are lactose intolerant. So it's very, very important for you to talk to your doctor as well, whether yogurt is also good for your child, for example. Now, we have food that we emphasize on whole grain food. I know as a mother, we have problems. We like rewarding our kids when they do something nice. Instead of giving healthy food, we like giving sweets. We like giving crisps, which are overly processed and they're not very, very healthy. Those are the things that we truly need to minimize on. We don't need things that have artificial additives. We don't need the juices unless we've blended them by ourselves. And please do not add sugar. I always prefer almonds for those who can afford. But we need to find out how we can give nuts, for example, our nuts that are made from whole. Almonds are very good. Coconut milk is equally nutritious. And it's good for us to talk about foods that may be avoided. Gluten is not very good, and that is found in bread. And most of the time, I know the common culprits that we have within us is bread is easily available for us, but they're not necessarily good for our autistic children. Wow, I've already talked about excessive sugar and artificial additives. This one just makes situation worse for our children. Again, caregivers, autism is not one of those things that we talk about freely, and it's a common thing. And just know that we feel you and we are here for you. That's why we keep talking about them, so that whenever you go back to your hospital, tell your doctor, honestly, don't break down. You're allowed to feel lost and defeated, but tell your doctor that I truly want to help my child. I just don't know how. I feel I need help. I feel I need to talk to someone. Let them do that, because support groups will also help make things easier for you when it comes to diet. And again, as I said, all this varies from one child to the other. Caregivers and mothers, remember, your attitude towards bringing up your special need child is what will keep your child alive. Do not be down. Do not cry. You're allowed to cry, fine, but don't hang on to it for too long. because your child works with your emotions. If you're emotionally drained, your child will be emotionally drained. So mothers and caregivers, remember, your attitude is what will make your child better. If you're emotionally drained, your child will be drained. And babies or children, they pick on your emotions. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do. What is in you is what that child will definitely pick. So always remember to be at your best. What I usually do when I'm overwhelmed, I go to a certain place, I go cry elsewhere, not in front of everybody else, because we all have issues that is actually going on with us. What I usually do when I'm overwhelmed, I go elsewhere and I cry it out, or I let it out. When I go back home, everything else is fine. We all have those moments when we feel defeated. And having to take care of a special need child is not a walk in the park. We understand that as birthmark, and that is why we are doing whatever it is that we are doing. So one of the things that you need to do, caregivers, remember, number one, make hospitals or make doctors your number one best friend. Your doctor will guide you through. Your doctor will help you find a support group. Your doctor will help you find a speech therapist, for example. If your child suffers from CP and they've not talked, or they've not spoken or uttered a word where need be, your doctor will help you get the right dietitian or nutritionist that will help you, or rather get a meal plan for your child. Remember, when we're talking about diet for our special needs children, we are insisting on the locally available food. And what are the locally available food? We are rich in Africa because we have enough. We have our vitamin D, and remember, because we are dark skinned, we need more vitamin D to help, with calcium, with healthy bones and everything. Number two, we are blessed because we have enough and variety of vegetables. If you cannot afford broccoli, for example, we have our atipa, we have our bo, cowpeas, or we have our mrenda, we have our, we call it susa or pumpkin leaves, which are very important. We have pumpkin seeds that are also important for our children. But then again, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. When you're dealing with all these kids, they're all special needs children, but their needs are different and they vary from one child to the other. So even as you talk to your doctor, be as open as you can. Tell your doctor, I think my child is autistic, or if they've already told you that your child is autistic, their dietary needs varies from one child to the other. There are people who are lactose intolerant. We know that milk is important, but we have a variety of kids who are not able to tolerate milk. So you find an alternative to milk. What do they need? So this is all we need to do. Omena is also rich in zinc and iron. Just boil your omena for a long period of time and give your child the soup. If you can afford fish, you get fish. Boil your fish, add some spring onions on it, and minimize the oil. I always prefer olive oil or no oil at all. Put your tomatoes, let your baby eat on the fish, and let them drink on the soup. It's very, very important for them. When it comes to chicken, I insist on what we call kienyeji or road runner, if you like. Boil the chicken, give your child the chicken broth. Those ones also help when it comes to children who have asthma, for example, because it helps. It's a nice one. It helps them when it comes to congestion of the chest. I don't know the science behind it, but our forefathers understood all these things pretty much well. So do vegetables. For me, beans work. I love yellow-green beans. In yellow-green beans, I only soak them for a few hours and then I boil. If you get any variety of beans, because of the amino acids, ensure that you soak your beans overnight and then you boil them the following day to give your children. Give green grams. So I insist on simple and easily available means. So I have talked about vegetables. We have atipa. We have atipa is the local language. We have derema. Derema is also common among the kisses. It's rich in iron. We need those ones. Remember, the sun is there. Remember, we need pumpkin leaves. We need boar. I've talked about that one. We need the spider. The spider is the deck, if you like, or the kisses, or we need mchicha. We need It's called saga. We need saga as well, but saga is a bit hard for kids and pretty much hard to digest. So I always insist on mrenda because mrenda is easy to digest. By the time your baby complains, the thing has already gone inside the stomach, so it's a lot easy. When you're doing your ugali, go for don't buy the packet one from the shop. Just take your maize, dry it a little bit in the sun, go grind it. You can add a little bit of millet or sorghum if you need, and then make it a bit light for the baby, because those ones also help in making your child become better. Remember, food should be your medicine. That means we have to eat right. Unfortunately, if you don't eat right and we give medication, we may not get what we need for our special needs children. Thank you so much for watching. This is Birthmark and my name is Adhiambo Pondo. See you next time.